My name is Joe Hill. I'm a 3D street artist with 3D Joe Max, and we're here in my studio in Islington on Holloway Road. And I've been doing art for a relatively short time. I didn't start until I was 30. I started with my friend Max Lowry, and we started by doing little 3D pictures on the ground, little chalk drawings, and just over the years, as more and more clients have commissioned us, we've got bigger and bigger. Sadly, Max passed away 3 years ago, and I've carried on the work without him, and we've kept the name 3D Joe Max, which is our street art name. In 2011, we broke 2 world records, one for the longest and one for the largest piece of 3D street art, and it was a really life-changing experience. It was incredibly difficult. It was in winter, it was wet. We lost 3 days where the paint all got washed away every day, and I came back to redo it and redo it and redo it. So at some stages I never thought it was going to get done. There was a deadline. It was, oh my God, it's just not going to happen. So when I did achieve it, I suddenly thought, do you know what, I need to remember this, because this is this was a defining moment in my life. It's a really big achievement. It was against the odds, so I'm really proud of it. Yeah. Last week I did a picture for a TV show called Game of Thrones, and did it with a team of really great artists, and we were near the market, and it was great fun. It was a massive ice wall inspired by the show, and it had 2 interaction points, so people could stand and look at the top of the ice wall and the wildlings climbing up, and you could also lie down on the canvas, have your picture taken from the other way, and it looked like you were climbing up with a massive drop below you. And we were very lucky. It made it into most of the papers, and a lot of people have gone a bit crazy for it online, which is always quite exciting and rewarding. So. What I find inspiring about 3D street art is that it makes art much more inclusive. When I was young, I used to be quite intimidated by art galleries and going into these cold, not oppressive, but slightly scary places. And it always felt very elitist and a little too special for me. And I always thought that art was fun when I was a kid. So what was really nice about 3D street art is that A, it's out on the street, so lots of people can see it, anyone can walk by and enjoy it. And B, it's interactive, so people can actually, touch it, jump on it, be a part of the picture, and it's not something that's hidden behind glass that's inaccessible. So that's why I love what we do. There are 2 ways of creating street art, 3D street art, and there's the more traditional way, which is out on the street using chalk or paint. And you're obviously up against the elements. But in recent time, I create a lot of things in advance on canvas, which I can roll up, and this has the advantage that people can jump around on it. It's not going to rub off on your feet because it's chalk. And you also can move the canvas if it's raining and things like that, or you want to try a different spot, which is a real advantage, and actually tends to be what I prefer to do now, because that also gives me the time. I generally have longer. I can spend a couple of weeks on a picture if necessary, whereas if I'm on the street I know I've only got 2 days, because often it's very expensive to hire a spot. So it's much more of a kind of a race against time on the street. In the studio I've got the luxury of time.
So my name is Avirandro, and I have a general interest in the arts, which manifests itself on different levels. I'm currently studying a PhD. I'm in my 3rd year at University College London in the architecture department, and it's a PhD about the relations between places and street art, how they impact on each other. I think that London is one of the centers of street art in the world at the moment, and most of this is due to the fact that it started polarizing fans and artists alike. So people come here from all over the world to paint, and there are organizations that arrange walls, legal walls, invited walls for people to come and paint. So it makes it much easier, and it makes it much easier to promote everything. So if you go, for example, if you go on TripAdvisor at the moment, out of the top 20 activities in London, there are 4 street art tours. So I'm not aware of any other place in the world that can say that at the moment. I think that there is much more discussion about how street art and graffiti impact on the environment than the other way around. Graffiti is said to deter people from places, and it's said to be an environmental blight and something completely undesirable. If you read through all the policy and the legislation surrounding graffiti, it falls under the same laws as litter, fly posting, dog fouling, so environmental crime. So that's what's usually attributed to graffiti. Street art is favored a bit more. It's said to bring tourists, to bring people in general to the places where you can find street art. People come, they take photos, they eat in the restaurants, they drink in the bars, so everyone's happy in terms of the street art impact. This is also a difference which is very problematic. But less has been said about the impact that places have on street art and graffiti. So for example, just if we look at this wall or any other wall around here, there are certain qualities of the walls that influence where street art can appear, how it can appear. So for example, the fact that this surface is smooth and metallic makes it more prone to posters and to paper-based mediums in general, whereas brick is more prone to graffiti. So there are several levels that places work on in terms of influencing street art and graffiti.
Most of my paintings are London. I'm a Londoner and I really enjoy walking around, and I love London because it's always changing. I love that feeling of people, and I quite like the feeling of with the people, the sort of individual in the crowd. You know, I quite like what people are doing at that moment and capturing them. This one on the left is just by the Tate Britain, which is my favourite gallery, which has just been rehung, and it's lovely. And it was particularly amazing on this day before Christmas because there was a huge fog, and so you couldn't really see all of the buildings behind. And after going to having a good look around, I walked all the way down the Thames, and there was this amazing light shining through the fog. This is Queensgate. We've got some Boris bikes in there. And this particular bit of London is about to be, on the other side of the Thames, is about to be redone. There's going to be a huge new South Bank which is being built because the American Embassy is going to be literally on the other side where you can see the bridge. And so that whole bit of the Thames will be different in probably about 2 years' time. And one of the things I like about painting bits of London is that it's forever changing. This painting here is Kew Gardens. This is a commission. I had a client ring up and say that he goes to Kew every day with his kids, and it's a surprise painting for his wife. This is a sunny beach scene in England last summer. It's Witterings, which is down looking at, it's right on the south coast, just opposite the Isle of Wight. And it's just a sparkly sea. And all my work has an element of light in it, mainly because I trained a lot in my 20s in Cape Town in South Africa, and the light there is phenomenal. In fact, they say it's the same sort of light as the Impressionists had in France about 100 years ago. This is Battersea Power Station, and I wanted to do some where the figures were much closer up in the frame, much closer to me, and I wanted to paint something which is, you know, kind of oddly quite beautiful. Not sure if everybody thinks that the Battersea Power Station is beautiful, but also has that kind of energy but also it's quite urban, you know, guys out for a run, you know, what people do in London.
So, my name is Philip Fursov, I'm 28 years old. I'm a painter and I studied in London. This is my studio in Viner Street in Hackney. I began to draw at the age of 6 when my family came to England from Russia. I wasn't interested in drawing until I kind of experienced a new country full of colours and different looking people and different interesting buildings. So I started to draw in Cambridge and London as a child, felt tip pens, and then my dad started taking me to art museums in Russia and in England, and he had a large collection of art books, and his favourite artist is William Blake, so I was looking a lot at William Blake's drawings as a child and trying to do different versions of those. I think a lot of what I've been doing in my life is trying to invent some kind of ridiculous story about my origins and why I came to this country, abroad from a country which I can't live in, or couldn't have lived in my childhood. So the immigration stimulated a new world in my imagination and also made me have to invent where I'm from, because I was asked, why are you here? Okay, well, my painting is overwhelming. It's kind of like a rainbow of different colours and people and forms. It's a jumbled up, there's all sorts of kind of baroque, it's kind of neo-baroque angles of incidence and composition, which is also about today. And I mean, I still think that baroque and postmodern are actually more or less the same word. I think painting is very limited because now it's kind of considered to be a dying breed of practice. I don't believe that that can possibly ever happen because it's the ancient art. But of course now with digital artists and new media, there are sort of new avenues to go down. But I think the act of painting is what interests me more actually than even looking at art, it's the actual making process.
My name is Paul Horton, I'm an artist and I'm here today to promote my Love and Hope collection, which was the museum exhibition from last October, which was held at Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery. I've been painting and exhibiting now for almost 40 years. I first exhibited as a 15-year-old schoolboy, so it's been a long journey. But really the inspiration was from about 4 years old, where art was a subject that was part of the very fabric of who I am. I've always drawn, always painted, and so therefore I would probably say all my life, all my life I've been a painter and wanted to be a painter. And really it's about the dedication and the journey and the self-belief that you put into yourself and into your work that makes you who you are as a person and hopefully reflects through the paintings. This painting is one of four icons from the museum collection. This is called In a Lifetime. It's really based on a painting called Emporium of the Imagination. The little boy, to me, looking through the window, is in many respects part of me, part of my background. Also, it could be seen as me imagining my grandson, who is only a young boy, finding the world that I created, this magical emporium. But really, it's the universal child within us all. This painting really takes inspiration from the many characters that I've created since I visited a puppet theatre in the mid-80s. I created the characters initially as puppet characters, then they've evolved and developed as real people. I know this character as the Man of Mystery. When I first created him, I had a strong idea of his true identity, but over time that has elapsed and the spirit And the enigma of this character is that he really is who you want him to be. And this painting is called If You Remember Me, I Am Immortal, and really reflects the fact that really all my paintings, the world that I've created, are all based on narrative, mystery and the storytelling aspect.